Hi everyone, I am teacher Vicky and today we're going to talk about the types of informational or factual text for quarter 2, week 1 to 3. Are you ready? Let's start! In this lesson, we will know the different types of informational or factual text. And these are the questions that you need to know at the end of this lesson. Number 1, what are the different types of informational or factual text? Number 2, how can we identify the purpose, key structure, and language features of various types of informational or factual text? Informational or factual text inform readers on true, fact-based information. These include a wide range of nonfiction, historical, scientific, and technical texts, including biographies and books about history, social studies, sciences, and the arts. Directions, forms, and information displayed in graphs, charts, or maps, and digital resources on a range of topics. Now I want you to look at the picture below. What can you see? Correct! That's Mayon volcano or Mount Mayon. So, are you familiar with Mount Mayon? Yes, it is considered as one of the most active volcanoes in the country. How will you describe the view of this volcano in Albay? A number of factual information may be given or generated about Mount Mayon. Using the given information, you will be able to write a text or paragraph that provides description on the given picture or item. Providing factual descriptions is one of the ways in writing informational or factual text. In this lesson, you are expected to identify the purpose, key structure, and language features of various types of informational or factual text. For learning task 1, so we are going to read the autobiography of President Manuel Alcazan. So it was taken from his privileged speech delivered in 1933. So we are going to answer the questions after this. Are you ready to listen? Let's go! Are you familiar with the picture? Who is he? Yes, correct. He is Manuel Alcazan. Okay, so now we're going to read the story of his life. An excerpt of his privileged speech. Okay, let's start. I was born a poor man, the son of a school teacher in one of the smallest towns in the Philippines, Baler. My father had, besides his salary, a 2-hectare rice land which he cultivated. While I was a boy and during my early youth, my father saved as much as he could from his meager salary and from what he could get from his rice field, only to have a few hundred pesos with which to give me an education. During those Spanish days, a Filipino family could live in a small town on 4 pesos a month and a supply of rice. Thus did my family live for years. When I was at the age of 5, an aunt of mine started to teach me to read and write. My own father and mother and the priest of the town later gave me my primary instruction. At the age of 9, I was brought by my father to Manila and began my secondary education at San Juan de Letran College. First, I lived in the convent of San Francisco, serving as a room and mess boy for one priest, receiving no salary except board and room. Then my father moved me to the house of an aunt, where for some pesos I roomed and boarded. The house was located in Paco, too far from the walled city for him who could only use his own feet as a means of transportation. My classes started at 7 o'clock in the morning and I had to get up very early to reach my classes on time. Again, this impaired my health, and the following year, I was taken by my father to San Juan de Letran as an intern. I remained as an intern until I graduated as AB with the highest honors. By this time, the savings of my father had all been spent on my education. He owed money and simply told me that I had to stop my studies unless I could work my way through university education. I came to Manila and spoke to my Dominican professors, who by this time had become very fond of me, and told them of my situation. I wanted to be a lawyer but could not pay for my expenses. They secured a position for me as one of the helpers in the University of Santo Tomas with room and board and free tuition. Thus, I was able to take up the study of law. Are you inspired by his journey in the pursuit of his dream? Yes, of course. And what do you think was his purpose in sharing this part of his life to his audience? Yes, maybe most of the audience is youth or someone who will be motivated and will be inspired by his words because as Manuel Alcazan said that he came from a poor family and most of the youth can be inspired by his stories. So number 3, how did his story affect your personal views about your studies and your dreams? I hope you are inspired by his stories, right? Because even if he is not really rich, okay, he can come up with some solution with his problems. Okay, so now that you are still young and you have the future ahead of you, I hope you will be motivated to study and follow your dreams. For learning task 2, let's read the statement below and arrange the sequence of events taken from Kesson's autobiography. So you're going to write letter A for the first event and B for the second and so on. Be guided by the language features and or signals used in each item. Okay, let's start. Okay, so now let's read first from number 1 to number 5 so that we will know what what is the first event that happened in the story. Okay, so let's start with number 1. His father had spent all his savings for Manuel's education. He told him that he could still study if he could work his way through university education. Number 2, his Dominican professors helped him secure a position as one of the helpers in the University of Santo Tomas, receiving free room and tuition for his law school. Number 3, next, his own parents and their parish priest gave him his primary instruction. Number 4, then at the age of 9, he was brought by his father to Manila where he had his secondary education at San Juan de Letran College. And number 5, when he was at the age of 5, his aunt taught him to read and write. Okay, so what do you think is the first thing that happened in the story? Are you sure with your answer? Okay, let's see what is the first. Okay, so that is number 5. Next. If your answer is B, you are correct. And, of course, letter C. Letter D is number 1. And the last one is, of course, for number 2. That will be letter E. I hope you got it all right. Okay. So let's talk about the informational or factual text. Informational or factual texts are materials that provide significant information or details about a particular person, place, thing, event, issue, and the like. They vary in terms of types, signal questions, and signal words. Presented below are the types of informational or factual text, their purposes or description, signal questions, and signal words. Let's start with the first type, which is the sequence. The purpose is to describe or present statements, events, or items in order, and or enumerates procedures or steps in doing something. The key structures or the signal questions are: what statements, items, events, or steps are listed? Do they happen in this order? Do they always happen in this order? And the features or the signal words: first, second, next, then, before, after, finally, following, not long after, now, and soon. Information using sequence may be presented using the graphic organizers, timeline, steps, and cycle, just like the examples below. Our learning task 1 is an example of sequence. Okay, instead of writing numbers, we just use the letters from A to E to show and express what should be the first thing that happened in the story and the last thing that happened. Okay, so remember that is sequence or sequencing events. The next type is description. The purpose is to describe a person, place, thing, idea, or concept by explaining its features and characteristics or by giving examples. The key structure or the signal questions are: what specific topic, person, idea, or thing is being described? How is it described? How does it look like? How does it work? What does it do, etc.? What is important to remember about it? And the features or signal words, for instance, such as an example, to illustrate, and characteristics. Information using description may be presented using the graphic organizer or the concept map below. Okay, so let's make an example. So our topic is COVID-19. So we are going to describe or tell something about the topic, which is the COVID-19. So we're going to give some characteristics or some words so you can associate COVID-19. Let's start with the first one. Okay, so this is pandemic. You can say fear, sadness, death, virus, and new normal. Okay, so you can come up with your own examples. So just think of any topic that you can use and just try to make some examples or anything or any characteristic of that topic. Okay, I know you can do it. The third type is the cause and effect. The purpose, it refers to what happened, which is the effect, and why it happened, cause. And the key structures or signal questions are: what happened? Why did it happen? What caused it to happen? And the features or signal words are so, because, since, therefore, if, then, this lead to, or this led to, reason why, as a result, may be due to, effect of, consequently, for this reason. Information using cause and effect may be presented using the graphic organizers below. Okay, so let's have an example. So let's start with the cause. Okay, my cause is air pollution. So let's think of the effects of this cause. Okay, so let's start with, of course, lung cancer, respiratory disease, and heart disease. Okay, and of course, for the effect, let's have an example. Okay, so the effect is air pollution. Okay, and the cause of the air pollution is by solid and liquid particles, certain gases that are suspended in the air, and natural events just like the volcanic eruption. Next type is the comparison and contrast. The purpose is it shows or presents how two or more things are alike and or different. And the key structures or signal questions: what items are or things are being compared? In what ways are they alike? In what ways are they different? And the features or signal words: same as, similar, alike, as well as, not only but also, both, instead of, either, or, on the other hand, different from, as opposed to. Information using comparison and contrast may be presented using the graphic organizer. In this example, we have the Venn diagram. So we are going to compare and contrast the dog and the cat. So we have a picture of the dog and the cat. So let's see. At the center, we are going to put those characteristics that are the same with each other. Okay? Let's start with the four-legged animals. Of course, both dogs and cats are four-legged animals. And yes, they are pets. Okay, so we can have them as pets in our own homes. And the contrast is that the sound, of course, the dog barks, and the meow of the cat. And for this one, the color of the dog is brown and gray for the cat. So that is an example for comparison and contrast. The last type is the problem and solution. So the purpose is tells about the problem and the possible solutions to it. The key structures or signal questions: what is the problem? Why is this a problem? Is there anything being done to try to solve the problem? What can be done to solve the problem? And the features and signal words: question is, dilemma is, the puzzle is, to solve this, one answer is, one reason for the problem is. Information using problem and solution may be presented using the graphic organizers below. So we're going to put some problems and then the solutions and also solution, and then we can give three problems for that. Okay, so let's have the problem first. Okay, failed grades. So let's have the solution. Study well, do all the performance tasks, and of course, believe in yourself. And for the solution, wear face masks. So what are the problems that we can solve by wearing face mask? COVID-19, acquiring the diseases, and of course, for us not to infect others. Okay, so that is an example of problem and solution. For activity 3 or in your module is the learning task 3. So you're going to read and analyze the text below and complete the table by identifying the types of text, their purposes, and the signal words used. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example for number 1. Okay, so let's read first number 1. All crocodilians are reptiles with long snouts, long tails, 4 short legs, tough skin, and sharp teeth. Members of the crocodilian family include alligators, crocodiles, caimans, and gavials. Crocodilians live in warm weather throughout the year, and they spend part of their time in the water and part of their time on land. Almost all crocodilians grow to be very large, with the largest more than 20 feet long. There are two kinds of alligators, 14 kinds of crocodiles, 8 kinds of caimans, and 1 kind of gabials. So let's try to identify what type and the purposes and the signal words. Are you ready? Okay, so let's start with the types. If your answer is description, you are correct. Okay, and of course, the purposes. It describes a person, place, thing, idea, or concept by explaining its features and characteristics or by giving examples, just like in the text in number 1. Okay, so here are the signal words for us to identify that this is a description. All crocodiles are. Members of the crocodilian family include. Crocodilians live in. There are 2 kinds. Okay, so did you understand now what you are going to do? So I hope that you are ready to do learning task number 3 in your own. Okay, so please get your module and answer this. I know you can do it.